What's chirping, crickets? This is Kim from Kim Takes On. I'm Kim. Hi. And this is my co-host, co-producer, co-aider, and abetter, and minister of all things wacky, Terrence the Wonder Duck. Terrence says hello, and he hopes you're all having a great week so far. So, today's topic is one that is very, very near and dear to my heart. You've done that joke already. No, it's not about Jared or Jensen. And it's not about Jason Momoa either. Good grief, you make it sound like I'm a woman of such loose morals. Don't you say another word. Judgmental little creature, isn't he? 2 words, duck pickleball. I mean it. No, I would never. What I'm going to talk about today is Mystery Science Theater 3000 and all the other Misty type shows that the folks that started Mystery Science Theater have been involved with, because this whole crazy idea of taking bad movies and making fun of them while you're watching them has spread out and wound up being something that just didn't end with Mystery Science Theater 3000. We got Mystery Science Theater 3000 originally on the Comedy Channel, and then it went to Sci-Fi, then it went to Netflix, and also we've had other things like Rifftrak, The Film Crew, Cinematic Titanic, and other things like that. We've also had different people that are part of these things, like some riffs are done on Rifftrak by the usual suspects of Mike, Tom, and Bill, but they've also had riffs done by Bridget and Mary Jo. And you know all those names if you're anybody that's been in Mystery Science Theater 3000 fandom for a while. And you know who you are, and you're welcome. You're welcome to be in our little island of misfit toys, too. We're always looking for new and exciting members of our own little monster island in our mind, aren't we, Terrence? You know, they always say, come to the dark side, we've got cookies. Yeah, we're not the dark side. We're the, I like to think out of all the parties that are out there, you know, the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, all that stuff like that, we're the chocolate cake and chocolate ice cream party. Also, no turducken party. I'm sorry. Okay. That was my one turducken joke. I'm not allowed to make any more. So, because somebody gets triggered. I guess you would get triggered too, though, if you were the main part of the, I still don't get how that works. You'd think all those birds would have different cooking times, but, I'm not a chef, so I'm the dessert person, like you couldn't tell. So what I'm going to talk about today, crickets, which is going to be one of those things where it's like, how do you narrow this down? And trust me, it wasn't easy. I am going to talk about my favorite Misties or other shows that did the same thing, taking a usually terrible movie and making it more bearable by adding your own snarky comments, which I wouldn't recommend doing in an actual theater because they will get kind of cross with you. And if you do it at an Alamo Drafthouse Theater, they'll boot your ass out, which is understandable because you shouldn't be doing that. You should write the things down and make fun of them later. You see, you have to think of these things. Always be prepared. So that's my attitude. So, starting off with a Joel, I'm going to bring up who was the guest, who's the riffer on all of these, along with the bots, of course, Tom and Crow. This was an episode featuring Joel Robinson, and the episode is Bride of the Monster. And I don't really need to say much more except for 2 more words. Ed Wood. Okay. Don't stop. It's not like I said the other word. Okay. The one I just mentioned. It's okay, Terrence. Calm down. Go breathe out of a paper bag for a minute. Wait a minute. Excuse me. Oh, okay. I understand. You're very sensitive that way. I know. he gets very sad about this movie because Bela Lugosi's in it, and that's why he's sad, because Bela's in it, and he loves Bela Lugosi, especially as Dracula. Hey. The story of a mad scientist played by Bela, shocker, who keeps a monster octopus, as you do, and is working on perfecting a race of atomic supermen, as you do. There's just some really funny riffs in this one. The end of this movie is so unbearably ridiculous, and I've watched this several times, and I honestly have no idea what the hell is going on or how the hell things work the way they're supposed to. The interesting thing about Bride of the Monster is that you can actually also see part of this movie, or somebody else's interpretation of this part of the movie, in Tim Burton's biopic, Ed Wood. There's a part of the film where they're showing the filming of this movie, and the fact that when they stole is such an ugly word, don't you think? I'm going to go with appropriated. When they appropriated the giant octopus to be in the film, they didn't appropriate the motor. So Bela Lugosi had to make like the giant octopus was killing him by trying to make the arms flail around, but not look like he was making the arms flail around, and screaming like he's in pain. And I'm like, wow. You guys really... Next up is another Joel film, and this one is really, I'm like, okay. Now, the thing about Samson versus the Vampire Women is the fact that this is a film from Mexico. This is a film from Mexico starring lucha libre legend El Santo. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. Terrence speaks for both of us. El Santo is the man with the silver mask, is a legend from Mexican wrestling who made a lot, and I mean a lot, of movies. And I have actually seen more than one. And they are an experience. Not trying to be nasty. Do not send me hate mail. Because I think part of the problem with the Santo movies when they're brought to America, besides the fact that they changed his name to Samson in a lot of them, which is just annoying, is the fact that they're dubbed. Now, I'm not going to sit here and go into some big dissertation about why subtitles are better than dubbing, because I know someone's going to get pissed off, so I'm not going to do it. But just speaking for me and Terrence, we both tend to prefer subtitles, because hopefully the subtitles are closer to the actual dialogue. I know some people are like, but I can't read the subtitles and watch the movie. Blah, blah, blah. It's actually not that hard. I don't find it that hard, and Terrence doesn't find it that hard. Of course, he's a very exceptional duck, and I'm me. But Samson versus the Vampire Women is weird. I mean, very weird, exceedingly weird. It's basically, it's right there on the tin. It's Samson, or El Santo. I'm going to call him Samson for this because that's what I call them in the movie. So, sorry. Samson fighting a coven, I guess. I don't know if you'd call them a coven of vampire women, because there's more than one. And I don't know what you'd call that. I know a coven is usually used for witches. So if I've offended any Wiccans out there, my pardon, I didn't mean to. But I don't know what you'd call a herd of vampire women. Flock. I don't know. Just trying to think of what you'd call a bunch of women that suck all the life and vitality out of people besides Karens. But I told myself I wasn't going to do that joke. Oh my gosh, I told myself I wasn't going to do that joke. Anyway, so the whole thing of the film is Samson is asked by this professor to save his daughter because she's destined to be the next queen of the vampire women, because the current queen is abdicating her throne to go back to hell to live with her husband, the devil. What? Okay, look, I know we're not of one world, and, every country has their own take on things, and that's fine. That's fine. But seriously, what the heck, Mexico? And the riffs are great in this. They're flying fast and furious, and the absolute cackle of a laugh that Crow, voiced by Trace Billiot, gives out the first time we see Samson, who comes dashing into this guy's study, shirtless, with a cape and his silver mask on, because Samson never takes the mask off. And it's like, he just laughs like he's going to fall out of his chair. And it's just so funny, and it feels so real. It just feels so real and such a natural response. And I can't help laughing when it happens. All right, next. Gird your loins, folks. This is a film directed by a gentleman who is very infamous among the Misty group. He directed 2 other films, Red Zone Cuba, and the other film, which I've completely blanked on for just a second. Give me a minute. The gentleman's name is Coleman Francis. And his films are, I'm sorry. The other film was The Beast of Yucca Flats. I knew I'd get it if I thought of it real quick. Coleman Francis films are, a slog. They're a slog. Red Zone Cuba is the worst of the slogs, but The Skydivers, another Joel film, has some truly hysterical, to me, and Terrence, riffs in it. The Skydivers is about a skydiving school. I'm sorry, I think it's a Mike, not a Joel. I'm sorry if I screwed that up. And it's about a skydiving school run by a married couple, and the guy's having an affair with this girl in the town that's been banged more than a screen door in a hurricane. And she doesn't want to leave him alone, and it just turns into this big mess. The riffs are really funny. There's a running gag through the film about halfway through about they've got the whole line of planes, and these are small planes because you don't skydive out of a 747 unless you're DB Cooper. Look it up. I know, I'm old. Shut up. But so they've got these small planes, and they're all lined up, and for some reason, and I don't know why, they just picked one of the planes and started calling it Petey Plane. And they have this whole, the riffers have this whole thing where they've turned it into, they make the plane into its own character. They call him Petey Plane. And it's like kind of like a children's host kind of thing. Like, one of those like old shows they used to have where they would have like a cartoon plane or a cartoon car or something like that as a host, and they would show cartoons and things like that. It's like that. And they just got this running gag about Petey Plane, and I cannot stop laughing when they do this stuff. And you need something to laugh at in this film, because holy cow, is this thing bleak. It's filmed in the middle of somewhere that is exceedingly flat. And they have this sock hop kind of a thing. They call it a twist party at the place where they're, have the planes go land and take off and stuff like that. And there's all these people out there dancing, and there's a guy in a kilt and this woman that looks like she's a frickin' reject from Themyscira. She's huge. I'm like, where was she when they were looking for pro wrestlers? Good grief. But the skydivers never fails to crack me up when it comes to the whole stuff with PD plane. I'm easily pleased, I guess. Okay, Mike Nelson made his debut. Actually, he made his debut in Joel's last episode, Mitchell. And he became the new human guinea pig for the mad scientists, Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank. His first film, where Mike was forced to watch a bad movie and crack jokes about it, was a film that I've actually mentioned on this show when I was talking about my mad scientist that I like to talk about, my favorite mad scientist from movies. And that is the film The Brain That Wouldn't Die. So Mike's got to get used to being stuck on this spaceship with these crazy robots. And in this first episode where he's the main riffer, he's also trying to find a way to get back to Earth. So there's quite a few jokes about that and the things that he's trying. The story of a doctor who winds up in a motor car accident with his fiance, where he winds up being pretty all right, but she winds up decapitated. And the doctor is determined to save her life and transplant her still living head, thanks to this serum that he's working on for transplants. He's determined to make sure give her new life by grafting her head onto another body. There are so many questions. None of them are going to get answered. Moving on. Okay. I also just recently mentioned this one as well. This is another Mike. On my list of You've Got to Be Kidding Me monsters for Halloween, I mentioned the horror of Party Beach. And there are some really funny riffs in this film. There have to be, because, oh my frog, is this film terrible. It makes absolutely no sense. The idea that toxic waste dumped offshore winds up reanimating skeletons into some kind of fish creatures. And these are skeletons of, I'm assuming, human beings. I'm like, why would that have, but that doesn't make any, what do you mean they're protozoa? What are you talking about? This movie is completely like, picture a geology book and then picture an open window and picture the the biology book sailing out the open window gracefully and then plummeting to Earth. That's this film. Biology gone horribly, horribly wrong. But the riffs are really funny. There's a band performing on the beach during this film. It's an actual band, the Del Airs. And the remarks they make about them are kind of mean, but they're also kind of funny. But the remarks they make about the teenagers dancing on the beach are actually a lot funnier to me. Some of them are kind of nasty, but they're also pretty funny. Okay. Turning to the Netflix era. We got some variety with Netflix when it comes to Mystery Science Theater 3000, due to the fact that we had more than one person riffing at the same time. We had Jonah, and we also had Emily. And I like both of them. I know, see, there's some people out there, I've mentioned this before when I talked about tribalism, that, tribalism in fandom, which sucks, don't do that. That some people are like, well, I'm totally team Mike, or I'm totally team Joel, or whatever. And I'm like, I'm totally team everybody have a good time and stop trying to make me choose things because I don't want to. And don't make me angry, because you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. You didn't have to nod that much. Good grief. Duck pickleball. Which would also be duck pickleball, but I don't think those things go sailing out and bonk people on the head or anything like that. I still don't know why it's called pickleball. The ball doesn't look like a pickle. The paddles don't look like a pickle. Do you get a pickle if you win? If you do, I hope it's dill pickles. Dill pickles are delicious. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So this is a riff done by Emily. And the bots that are still Tom and still Crow, but they sound a little different, which is fine. There's different voice actors, which is great. Everybody's got a different voice, and that's fine. Don't have a problem with it at all. Another movie from Mexico, The Batwoman. Now, before anybody out there gets the wrong idea, we're not talking about the one that was in the DC Comics way back in the day. No. This film was made to punish us. No, sorry. In this film, Batwoman is a crime fighter, spy, wrestler, all of the above. I don't get it either. And her outfit is there, barely. She's got a mask, so that's something. Puts her one up on El Santo from 3 de Vidam. I need to talk about that movie on here one of these days. Anyway, she is trying to stop a mad scientist who was kidnapping wrestlers because they have, strong physical capabilities and stuff like that. Because his whole thing is to create an army of fishmen. Yeah. So he actually, after trying and failing several times, he actually gets it to work. Ish. I mean, it's a fish monster thing, I guess. But now he's decided, well, since Batwoman is being such a pest, I'm going to capture her and force my monster to mate with her. Blech. Ugh. I'm like, ew. Oh, we had to do it that way. And the stupid thing is, I mean, I know a lot of people, not a lot of people, but in DC Comics, there's more than a few people that know who Batman really is. In this thing, there's like 2 different guys that she's like, oh, I really like you, and I really like you, and I can't choose who I like better, and blah, blah, blah. And they're both like, well, we know that you're Batwoman and all this, so that everybody's totally fine with it. Everybody's totally casual about it. And I'm like, what? It's for real? Okay. You do you, Mexico. Horrors of Spider Island. Yes, I said horrors. I made it very clear what I said. You have to be very careful how you say some things, or people are going to think it's a completely different kind of movie. Horrors of Spider Island is a film where Mike was the riffer along with the bots. A dubbed piece of... No, I can't say that. I'm not going to say that. I know it is that, but I'm not going to say it. A film from Europe about a group of dancers. Notice I didn't do the dancers. They're actually dancers. They're not dancers. You guys know what I mean. Who get shipwrecked on an island. Their plane crashes in the ocean. They wind up making to this island along with their manager, Gary. And it turns out the island is inhabited by one dead scientist and these screwed up looking spider things that look like spiders if you squint. One of them bites Gary, and Gary turns into You know what? Where have I heard this before? This sounds so familiar now that I think about it. Guy gets bitten by a radioactive spider and turns into a spider. Gosh, this sounds so familiar and I can't quite... It's right on the tip of my tongue. Oh well, I'm sure I'll think of it later. This is the humor, folks. I don't see you writing anything down. Because you can't hold a pen. That's it. Sorry, that wasn't nice of me. I'm sorry. Anyway, so Gary turns into a Spider-Man-ish. He's more man than spider. And I'm sorry, did the people who actually... I want to know one thing about the people who made this movie. I want to know if any of the people who made this movie actually ever saw a spider. You know, what an actual spider looks like. Because this movie doesn't make me feel like they did. Although there are a crap ton of Spider-Man references at the end, which I think are really funny. And part of the reason that this winds up on my list, because the jokes are funny. Although there are quite a few slings that are tossed at the one point, Governor Jesse Ventura. Although, you know, they can say what they want. They lived out that way. I can't say anything. Next is a Rifftrak film that I actually can say that I saw at the theater way back when it came out. Which is something a lot of people can't say because it got yanked out of the theaters. It's a movie called The Last Shark. Gee, I wonder what this is a ripoff of. And if you guess the Jaws franchise, give yourself a cookie. The Last Shark is what I just said. It's a story about a small ocean community that is being plagued by attacks by a great white shark. And the government, you know, the local government doesn't want it to interfere with the local regatta that they're going to be having, tourist money, blah, blah. You get the whole idea. When I saw this film way back in the day, and no, I'm not adding two more ways back onto that, Terrence. Zip it. I saw this film at I believe it was a General Cinema in Peabody, Massachusetts, which is sadly not there anymore. When I saw this film, it was called Great White. And this film was so much like Jaws 2, right down to the shark attacking a helicopter, that the folks that made Jaws 2 went WTF and went running to their lawyers and got this film yanked out of theaters, but not before I saw it. This film sucks. This film is really bad. Besides the fact that the thing that makes me sad is that there's actually really good people in this film. Vic Morrow is in this film, trying really hard to be Robert Shaw as Quint. Also James Franciscus in the Martin Brody character kind of part. It's a terrible film, but the riffs are hilarious and more than make up for the absolute not good at allness of this film. Okay, I mentioned Jonah previously. Jonah is one of the newer folks on Rifftrak when it came to Netflix. A Jonah film that I really enjoy is a film called Star Crash. And when I say enjoy this film, I don't know, maybe enjoy is not the right word. Endure this film. Sit there and think how this film is as close to Star Wars as you can get without actually being Star Wars. I mean, there's an actual lightsaber in this film. Well, something like a lightsaber. It's very lightsaber adjacent. We'll go with that. And this film also has a smuggler in it, but it's not played by Harrison Ford. The smuggler is Stella Starr. No relation to Brenda, I suppose. Played by Catherine Monroe and her very pronounced eyes. We'll go with that. And her outfit, which is just something she threw on and missed. No offense to Miss Monroe. She's a very lovely lady. The story of Stella Star and her attempts to rescue the son of the Emperor of the Galaxy, who's the good guy in this. Figure that one out. From the clutches of the evil Zarth Arn. And his weapon, which is massive, almost like a Death Star, possibly. And a lot of other things that you can look at and go, really? Really? We really did this? The one thing that really cracks me up is that there's a tribe of Amazons in the film. And I'm like, did y'all miss the memo that Amazons are supposed to be? You know what? I'm not going to say. I'm like, I don't think I should say that out loud because that's really not kind. But nobody's going to confuse these Amazons with Wonder Woman at all. And lastly, I'd like to bring up another film that Ed Wood was involved with because if I had to suffer through it, so should the rest of you. And that is a Rifftrak film called The Bride and the Beast. And this film is not directed by Ed, but he wrote it. One of the people that wrote it. The Bride and the Beast is about a man bringing his new wife to his home, which is out in the middle of flipping nowhere, which apparently she's never been to. I'm like, you married this dude and you never were at his house before you married him? Not even for lunch or something? Okay. I mean, I know it's the 50s and I know people did things differently back then, but what? So it's all like, well, here's the living room, here's the kitchen, here's the upstairs, here's the gorilla I keep in the basement. Because she married a guy who is one of these great white hunter types. But he's captured this gorilla, which he's named Spanky. Because a gorilla is an ape and not a monkey, so we can't do the usual. Because we're trying to be mature on this show. Since when? He's so amusing. But he's captured this ape to bring it to a zoo. The thing is, his new wife is strangely attracted to Spanky. And yes, I mean attracted like that. Spanky is also very interested in her, and winds up breaking out of his cage and showing up in their bedroom where they're sleeping on their honeymoon in separate beds. Look, I know it was the 50s, but come freaking on. Long story short, Spanky winds up shot, and in order to help his wife get over the trauma of this, Hunter Boy takes his wife with him to Africa. I bless the rains down in Africa. Stock footage ahoy! So the rest of the film is basically a lot of look over there at that interesting thing happening over there that's not happening here. Are you kidding me, movie? And more run-ins with gorillas and stuff about past lives, and it gets exceedingly weird. And Mike, Tom, and Bill have absolutely so much fun with this, and it's well-deserved because this film is a freaking mess. So, that's my list of my favorite Misties today. As of tomorrow, it might completely change because that's the way my brain works. Do you have any favorite Misties or anything from Rifftrak or Film Crew or anything else? I'd love to know about it. PlatinumRoselle@yahoo.com. And if you would click on like and subscribe and all the other interesting things that are popping up over on one side of the screen right now, so you can join our little island of misfit toys. We'd love to have you along. So for another week here on Kim Takes On, I'm still Kim. This is still Terrence. And we want to say, have a terrific week. Hug the ones you love the ones you hug, keep rocking, and keep circulating the tapes. If you get it, you get it.